Good morning, everybody. It's been a little while since I've done one of these live reviews or live streams here on YouTube. I'm so used to doing live reviews. But excited to join you guys today. Wanted to check in, see how you guys are doing. Put out what I think is a pretty insightful, useful video yesterday based off of a recent experiment that I basically conducted. So if you missed yesterday's video, the TLDR is I have had this sneaking suspicion and hypothesis that most, like 80 to 90% of producers that have been striking out and not getting accepted by libraries, being rejected, being ignored, and doing it over and over again to the point where it's been, 6 months, a year, and literally just nothing is coming their way. My suspicion has been that it's probably them, the producers, the composers, doing something that's getting in their own way. It's probably not just that the libraries were busy or that an email landed in spam or, things just got oversought and people just didn't reply. And it was just like wrong time, wrong place, sort of bad luck in a way. My suspicion is that most producers that are striking out in this business are probably striking out on by their own fault, essentially. They're doing something which could be fixed to massively improve their odds. So I basically just put out an open invitation to those of you that are in that camp, that you're thinking about giving up, you're really struggling, you've been facing a lot of rejection, or maybe some of you, I heard from some of you that got accepted by libraries, but you've got no placements. And whatever your situation was, you just are really, obviously feeling like this is probably not going to work out for you in the long run. So you're deciding whether or not you should continue forward. And my 80 to 90% hypothesis on, maybe it was mostly on you guys and probably a little bit on the libraries. I mean, I didn't sample everybody on planet Earth who's doing this, but from the sample size that I got, which was about 24, 20, a little over 20 people, all in all, every single one of them had a very big glaring issue that was, to me, getting in the way of them getting accepted. Now, it wasn't just my opinion as to why they weren't getting accepted or responded by libraries. One thing I didn't mention in yesterday's video, what I wanted to make sure I got to you guys today, is that, I have been spending the last 6 years here on YouTube and through Sync Academy, most prominently through Sync Up, my in-person event, and through Sync Connect, which is our monthly Zoom calls with library CEOs. But with all the stuff I've been doing, you guys saw recently I had the CEO of Extreme Music on. I talk to a lot of CEOs. I'm very privileged and really grateful to be able to have a position here where if I reach out to CEOs or leaders of certain publishers and companies, catalogs, a lot of times I get replies just because I've developed a little bit of a reputation here in our world. And sometimes they reply or they just reach out to me randomly, which is really cool too. So I'm not just coming up with an opinion as to why I think some of your approaches have been flawed. I'm also coming to this with the background of talking to dozens of CEOs and hearing and understanding and having a little bit of pattern recognition as to what are the common things they tell me about why they pass over certain producers and composers that reach out to them. So what's up, Jason? What's up, LD? Good to see you guys. Say hello in the chat, guys, to the rest of you 11 that are watching. Good to see you guys. I always like to say hi to you. So a lot of my, working, doing what I'm doing here with Sync My Music has given me this amazing point of view, from all different angles, from the library perspective and now from your guys' perspective more recently about some of you guys that have been striking out. So of the about 24 or so of you that I responded to and analyzed your situation, listened to your music, looked at your website, reviewed the kind of email pitch you've been doing, every single one of you that emailed to me could have done something better and massively better. Not little things like you had a typo in your email, but like the music probably wasn't the right fit for what you were trying to accomplish there. Or you were trying to go for way too many different styles and all that kind of stuff. So you were just sort of spread out all over the place. Or the music sounded dated. It sounded a little bit stock, kind of like boring, not interesting, nothing really special. So it wasn't jumping out of the speakers demanding to get licensed, that kind of a thing. So what's up, Ryan? Good to see you. And hi, Jason. Good to see you guys. And so with that video out there, which you guys can watch yesterday, I think landed most of you on good ears. Most of you guys had ears to hear what I was trying to say and trying to help you out with. But as always, when I put out videos like this, it rubs some people the wrong way. And the topic of today's live stream is the fact that there's a lot of BS in our industry. And if you guys have been around this industry for a little while, you probably know that. That's not news to you. I've been in it since 2008, and there was BS back then. There's way more now. So there's always been BS in our industry, but there seems to be a lot more now. And so some of the BS that I was hearing about my video yesterday was mostly citing on this argument that it's not that producers aren't doing the counterpoint of view of this is that it's just about libraries not responding. They're oversaturated, they're overwhelmed. There's too many people submitting music, and there's so much great music out there that nobody has the time to just get to it. So it's not on the producers or the composers why libraries aren't responding to them. It's just the fact that there's too many people jumping into this, thanks to channels like mine and other people that are talking about sync now. The pandemic obviously blew our industry wide open. It's more popular now. People think they can just throw their music over here and make a quick buck out of it. So I understand the point of view. I definitely do. And I will give that side of the equation even some credibility to say for sure sometimes, and I've had one student in the, how long have I been doing this? 8 years? It's crazy. Yeah, I think 8 years I've been doing, coaching and offering educational services to you guys. I've had one student in 8 years who I think had a great sound, amazing music, like top notch, like 10 out of 10, really great stuff. And acoustic instruments too, very rare to find somebody that can do that. Had a great pitch, great professional point of view, and he really did struggle trying to get his foot into the door. And he submitted to multiple libraries, probably 5 to 10 of them, never was getting responded or just getting politely rejected, right? So he was he always stands out in my mind of somebody who, like, yes, just had to keep plugging away if you wanted to do well at this. It's just wrong time, wrong place, but you got to keep doing it. But you have amazing music, and that's going to eventually find its home, but you have to obviously be persistent on this. Other than that, no. Occasionally, for sure, people who have great music will be ignored or rejected by the first couple of libraries that they submit their music to. That's very common. And if you don't think that's going to probably happen to you, this is your wake-up call. It probably will happen to you. You probably will be ignored or rejected by the first couple of companies that you reach out to. Sorry, that's probably just the nature of the beast. However, cream always rises to the top in any industry. I think that's one thing that I can confidently tell you. Most of you guys that are a little bit older know that that's absolutely the case. That even if the first 2, 3, 4, 5, even maybe 6, 7, 8 libraries don't get back to you, if you've got high quality music and you do great music, that quality is always going to be king. You're always going to find your place in this. You will eventually find your place in this business if you're persistent and you keep at it. The question always comes into, is your music great or not, right? That's all. We all think that our music is great and amazing, but is it really compared to, you always have to say compared to what, right? Well, compared to the competition, compared to other music that you are pitching against in terms of the other music in the catalogs that you're pitching your music to. Very hard to be honest about that, to say, I think my music's on par there, but maybe not. Because I'll tell you guys just personal, confession. In the beginning, I knew my music wasn't as good as the competition. That's why I struggled a lot with imposter syndrome in the first couple of years. My mixes didn't hit as heavy, as hard, as loud as other tracks. I felt like my drums weren't as heavy, as impactful. I felt like my stereo spread was thinner. Everything across the board, like my mixes, my low end didn't feel as clean, as well developed. Like everything about my music in the first couple of years, I was always feeling insecure about because I knew it wasn't as good as the competition. Luckily, a little bit of luck played in my role where I had a library owner that gave me a shot early in my career, even though I was raw talent, hadn't been developed yet, hadn't really honed it in yet, and just continuously gave me a shot and still believed that I had something to offer this business, and I just continuously got better and better and better. But it is a tough pill to swallow to accept that maybe your tracks aren't on par with the company that you're pitching to. And so we sometimes can be delusional, and part of me thought, it's like part of my brain knew that my music wasn't there, but the other part of my brain said, well, if this library is saying yes to me, then I don't really have to do anything, so I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. So I had this conflicting kind of belief system going on, and it prevented me from taking my areas of weakness more seriously and really developing them and really critically getting them up to speed. So it really slowed my progress. I eventually, I think, caught up with the competition and started making some more impactful, heavy hitting, better sounding tracks. But, you know, it probably took a lot longer than it needed to because I was probably in some sort of phase of denial about it as well at the same time, which is kind of weird to think about, that you can be an imposter, but also feel like you don't need to improve. But sure enough, that's where I was in the first couple of years in this business. So we can be very delusional about our own talents and our own skills and our own ability and where our quality is. So that's why, obviously, you know, I did a very shameless plug in that video, and I'll do it again today, for pro feedback, because had I had a little bit more objective third-party, feedback on my music to let me know exactly where my weaknesses are, you know, being gentle and kind about it, letting me know I have something to offer, but I need to sort of improve these areas, I think I would have massively improved my production quality, my mixing ability, my, just the overall quality of my product much faster if I had a consistent check-in with somebody that I trusted, that I had some transparency on, that I knew who they were, what their credits were, and they could kind of see me grow and develop throughout the months, maybe throughout the years. So that's exactly why I developed Pro Feedback, was to help all of us, all of you guys that are in that kind of confusion area of, well, I've been pitching and I think I got great music, so why am I not getting replies? I can tell you from my recent experiment and what I shared with you guys in yesterday's video, it's probably you, it's probably your music. The last 3 reasons were the music reasons, and I think at least 75-80% of you guys that replied to me fell into committing one of those sort of mistakes. Music sounding dated or stock, not the right kind of pitch, or too varied and not enough focus. So committing one of those mistakes is usually what catches a lot of you guys off. Or the most obvious common mistake is a lot of producers who just hear about sync licensing want to pigeonhole and shoehorn in previously made music for sync licensing. 90% of the time, maybe 99% of the time, I don't think that ever works out. I think you got to come to this industry with a fresh slate. You got to start creating new music and understand the kind of rules, the golden rules of production music, which is what we teach you guys in Sync Academy and also reinforce with Pro Feedback. A couple of interesting questions I want to get to right now. Jason, love to get feedback on my music of the quality needed for sync. Well, I was just kind of talking to you about Pro Feedback. If you want to go check that out, profeedback.me. You can learn more about it. If you want to email me, Jesse, Jesse, @syncmymusic.com, I can let you know more about it. But that's how I review music these days, is through Pro Feedback. That's the only place that I'm, other than that open invitation I had the other day, which is now no longer open. That's the only way that I can review your guys' tracks these days. J-Mo is saying, is the music you heard not top quality in general? A lot of it was not top quality, the ones from the previous 24 tracks that I reviewed. A lot of it was not like the most amazing music I've ever heard. Some of it was pretty good, but the music that was pretty good was trying to be score music. And I think I outlined that pretty clearly in yesterday's video, that it was people that were trying to write music that had a bunch of different emotional tones to it, and they would grow and kind of almost, it sounded like it was the soundtrack for an established scene in a movie, and it varied too much and it didn't have enough clear directional and emotional focus. So I think a lot of people who don't understand how this industry works thinks that, oh, when I watch a movie, I hear that great, you watch Lord of the Rings and you hear that amazing, beautiful music in the background. You think that maybe people like me, we're just sitting at our home studio or just crafting up those tracks, and then they're kind of fitting them into scenes. And that's not what's happening with major motion pictures and with films, okay? They are hiring composers to write specifically for the scenes that they've already locked in with picture. So you can definitely go in that direction. I don't have anything to offer in terms of how to do that or how to succeed at that. That's just not my area of expertise, so I can't tell you what to do. I can tell you, working with production music libraries is probably not going to get you there, I'll be honest. What we do is we supply, usually, we can do custom work here and there, but we usually supply pre-made music that needs to get fit into established TV shows, movies, commercials, something like that, where we're not going to be like necessarily scoring to a picture. We can, again, once in a while do that. I recently did it. I had a theme opportunity where I scored. I actually made a track specifically to fit the visuals of a Major League Baseball theme show, the intentional talk show they have on MLB TV. So occasionally you will do that, but it's not the vast majority of the work we do. The vast majority of what we do is we write music that needs to be contained within one genre and one emotional kind of focus or tone fits one particular style or one particular vibe, so that if somebody has a scene in a reality or a drama or a crime show or a documentary, and they need that particular emotion to kind of highlight or accent what's happening in the scene, they can go like a buffet and pick out as much or as little of the music that we create as possible and put it into the show that they're producing. So it's just a completely different approach that we're doing here. So I think a few of you who had submitted to me probably weren't aware of that. And so hopefully, just with this quick little interaction, I might have steered you in a better path towards, hey, if you don't want to do what we're doing in production music, great. Don't come working with us, or don't go looking for production music libraries. That's just not going to get you to where you want to go. You want to go network with directors. You want to go to, I don't know, probably more industry events. I don't even know exactly. I mean, other than just literally getting to know directors and composing and building up your own little online social media presence. I don't know how you get into that side of it, but that's just not me. I can't really help you guys out with that. So some of that music was high quality, going back to the question. It was high quality, but it's just not right, and it's not relevant for what we do. So one of the biggest things that we do in Pro Feedback is to help you guys channel your established talents. A lot of you guys, I would say everybody, almost everyone. I mean, I've had a few exceptions where, you know, we've had some members where it's not in the same key. The music's in the same key. It's not in the same genre. It's like floating all over the place. There are timing issues, and it's like, maybe making music is not your thing. Like there's definitely, we've had some very, you know, some reviews that are very heavy, hard to get through, just to be honest with you guys. The rare exception though, and most of you though have something to offer. Usually there's something I'm finding of like, wow, you really do great at guitar riffs, or wow, your vocal melodies here, or your, you know, your EDM drums, or there's something that usually everybody has that's like, that's where you shine. I can tell that's the thing that you're really sparkling in. And so most of our notes are not about having you reinvent the wheel and relearn how to make music. That's not what we're helping you guys do. All we're doing is we're saying, all right, this is where your energy and this is where your creativity, this is where your strengths are. Sync licensing is right here, this little point right here. So what we basically need to do is kind of help you get some filters and some guides on you to help you channel all of that talent and that energy right to where this industry sits and where this industry wants your music to be, so that all this effort and high quality time you're putting into your music can actually fly off the shelf and get placements and actually land you some significant, hopefully, income in the long run. That's mostly all we're doing. We're not telling you guys how to relearn. In fact, if you don't know how to use a DAW, a DAW, you know, a software program to produce your own music, Pro Feedback probably ain't for you. We're not set up to basically help you learn how to produce music. That's not at all our business. There are plenty of other places. There's tons of free tutorials. You know, you can just learn it yourself, essentially. Most of us are self-taught with how we learned DAWs. But we're going to people that are basically already kind of established in terms of they know how to create music, they know how to produce it, but now they just need to know, how do I make sure that what I'm doing with my talents actually matters to somebody, right? I don't want to just waste my time. I don't want to spend, you know, months creating an album and then find out that it wasn't useful or licensable for a library. You know, and I hope most of you guys don't turn into some of the stories I heard recently, which was people that have been spending a year and a half pitching and grinding and pitching and grinding and going, it's nothing. Nobody's saying yes. What's going on? And literally one review with me or with one of our pros on the platform would have easily solved the problem. One review, one 10-minute, 15-minute review would have easily, quickly course corrected you to say, hey, what you're doing is cool, got a good vibe to it, love it. This is why it might not work for production music libraries. Here and here and here are some things that you can improve upon. Here's what's working. You want to really lean more into that. Maybe your structure is a little bit fragmented. Maybe it's too long. Maybe we need to help you trim the fat. Very common note that we give most people, that there's just too much going on in the track. And so after a while, you know, I would say after maybe like 2 or 3 reviews, it becomes kind of like something that hopefully you guys are starting to internalize, to go, oh, I think I'm kind of understanding the formula here for sync music. We don't want to get so pigeonholed into our formulas that we lose creativity, but there are golden rules, there are standards, there are certain lengths, certain things that you usually do over and over again in your sync music, no matter what genre you're producing, that hopefully start to sink in as automatics, so that as you're creating new music moving forward, you just start to course correct yourself, right? And you put yourself on a much more profitable path for the future. So that's kind of the long answer to Some of it was high quality, a lot of it wasn't. But profeedback.me, we can help you guys with one review. I promise you, after one review, you will have a lot more clarity and certainty as to whether or not you're going in the right direction or not. So if you're wondering about that, if you're confused, if you're uncertain, if you're frustrated, it's a cancel anytime service. It's month to month. There's no long-term contract, and we offer a 30-day money-back guarantee. And the reason why we do all those things to make it so flexible and accessible and easy to get out if it's not useful is I only want people sticking around if they're getting a lot of value from us, right? We don't want to waste your time. We don't want to waste your money. So it's basically risk-free to come get a free review. And by the way, this Saturday, I have a live review going on for myself. So how it works is when you sign up for Pro Feedback, you get one monthly review from any one of the pros. We have five pros, I think, right now. You can select from. Some are library owners, some are very accomplished sync licensing producers and composers. And I am also part of the service where I come in once a month and do a live review, usually on Saturdays at 9 a.m. Pacific time. And as long as you can show up live with me, you can get a review from me as well. So as a part of your monthly membership, you get 2 reviews every single month. But again, you got to show up for the live one. So I'm making you work a little bit for that one. You can't just drop off a track at the pool and have me review it and come back and pick it up. I want you to sacrifice and come hang out with us as well for our live reviews. But with 1 month's membership, you get 2 reviews. I guarantee you guys, if you are struggling or in that kind of like middle zone, you'll have clarity and confidence about what you need to be doing to course correct. And I said, you don't want to wait too long for this kind of stuff. We're all getting older. Time is just running out. And you don't want to be one of those producers in 6 months or a year and a half or 2 years with nothing to show for all the time you've put into this business and going, what the hell? This business is all BS. Well, yeah, a lot of it is. And there are definitely times where library owners are too busy to respond. That's all normal and common. But again, what could you be doing in that time to be improving your odds to the best of your ability? And that's really all we can all control, is what's within our grasp. Let me get to some of your great questions and comments here. Jason's asking, is there much success for people who produce beats, instrumentals to get those synced, or are companies looking for mainly full songs? Both, Jason. More and more library owners are asking for vocals. That's why I've been pounding that drum loud and very consistently for the last 2 years on this channel, that if you're going to get into sync, you better have some percentage of your catalog with vocals. I would say maybe at least 25%. So you can do both. There's still going to be some need and a lot of need for instrumentals. But just be aware that vocals are becoming the kind of thing that a lot of people are looking for. Previously, vocals were mostly for jingles, themes, featured placements, kind of the more prominent ones. But if you watch any reality shows these days, you'll actually hear that vocal music is used in competition shows, dance shows, lifestyle shows, all kinds of reality shows. So vocals are no longer just for these premium prominent placements. They're also used for the kind of like, the quantity placements where there's just a ton of them being thrown into tons of different types of content, including reality shows. So it isn't something that was necessarily the case when I first came up in this business, but it's definitely happening now. So yes, you can do both. You can do a lot of instrumental. Most of my career was instrumental. I did some vocals, but definitely be open to vocal work, because it's going to be something you're going to see much more in demand coming up. So Brody's saying also having natural transition points, shorter phrases. A ton of stuff on TV is only like 15 or 30 seconds of music. Need to get that bang for your buck. Yeah. So yeah, structuring, definitely you're kind of getting to some of those golden rules, Brody, for sure. He's also saying being able to arrange helps you stand out. Adding some supplemental instruments and percussion, stuff like that, really helps you stand out. Can even be like 8 tracks versus 4 goes a long tray. Yeah. So yeah, and also constantly adding to your track, never just copying and pasting your way through a track, getting too repetitive, that kind of thing. A lot of little tricks, having longer chord progressions where you're not just using like very short chords that repeat over and over again, but it's extending out your basic chord progression that maybe lasts 8 bars or maybe even 16 bars, so that if it does repeat, feels like we haven't been to the beginning in a long time. So there's little tricks you guys can do. One great trick that I just heard from a producer that I'm going to share on this channel is that he has different lengths of time for the chords for different parts of his track. So if the chorus, let's say each chord gets like 2 bars, or not 2 bars, 2 beats, 2 quarter notes, a half note essentially. When he goes to his verse, maybe the chords go to a quicker changing tempo where each chord gets 1 quarter note. So it basically halves the time. So it's changing at a faster pace. Then we go to a bridge where maybe he has those chords not change for an entire bar. And I never thought about composing or structuring my chords based on their time length in terms of using a certain time length for the verses, a certain time length for the choruses, a certain time length for the bridge. I've never thought about it consciously like that, and since he said that, I can't stop thinking about it that way. So these little things you kind of come across to make sure that your track is building and making sure it's moving forward and not getting too repetitive for sure. So JMO saying, it sounds like everyone needs to really focus on production quality first and foremost before worrying about submitting to libraries to really take off with success and the opportunities. Yes, especially these days as the industry has become more and more saturated, a lot more people getting involved, AI, music getting better and better. If you guys didn't catch that interview I did with the CEO of Extreme Music, which Extreme Music is like, in my book, and for a lot of your books, high up there in terms of like major movers in our industry. He told you directly on our interview, I don't want people that come to me with all these different types of genres and say, I can do this, I can do that. He says, come to me with that one thing that you just are a rock star at. I'm paraphrasing what he said, but this is what CEOs say over and over and over again to me. And you guys have heard it out of their mouths directly on this channel. And definitely if you guys have been to Sync Connect and been on our Zoom calls lately, you've been hearing the same thing out of all of them as well, which is to say, I don't necessarily even need to hear 10 songs of yours. I just need you to send me one amazingly damn good song. Like if you give me one that just blows me away, we're gonna work together. We're gonna figure out a way to work together. So yes, it definitely comes down to going back to that kind of counter argument that I was hearing about, like, no, it's just there's too many people trying to submit to libraries, so it's really more a case of just library owners just can't get to everybody. But there's a lot of highly qualified people. I actually don't buy that because I have evidence in my experience doing this. I've reviewed thousands of tracks. I have coached thousands of producers. I've listened to a lot of your guys' music. Most of it's not great. Some of it's great. There's a small percentage, I'd say 5 to 10% is really, really great. High quality. Oh my gosh, amazing. Probably that 10 to 40% is okay, good, a little average, above average, that kind of thing, and probably could improve. About 50% of it, it's not good. It's not amazing. It's not really shaking me. It's not really moving me. It's not really demanding that I would want to go collaborate with you. Let's just put it that way, right? It just sounds like, okay, you're on your journey. You're getting there. Got some ways to go, though. So I do feel that the 5 to 10% that have just undeniable, unbelievably amazing music are going to punch their way through the door one way or another. It might not be the first company, second, third, whatever, but like I said, cream rises to the top, and sure, an email or two is going to slip through the cracks and people are not going to hear it, whatever. That's not going to stop somebody that has undeniable music. Undeniable is undeniable, and cream will rise to the top, and there will be a way for you. So I do strongly believe in that, which is why getting feedback on your music consistently and not deluding yourself, which is what I did early in my career, and not pretending that your music is maybe at a level that it's really not. It's the worst thing you could possibly do. Being realistic about, okay, where are my talents? Where are my weaknesses? And sorry, each of you has weaknesses. I have weaknesses, so do you. We're all human beings. We all have different areas that we really do well at, but we also have things that are really hard for us and we struggle with. So it's up to you. How long do you want to ignore the weaknesses? How long do you want to not address what potentially is getting in your way and diminishing your odds of getting accepted and getting your career started? It's really on you. You've got services at your disposal. And even if you don't sign up for anything of mine, here's how you can do this on your own for free. Don't pay me a dime. Don't sign up for any of my services. Go find TV, film, production, music libraries. You can Google search them. Type in TV, film, production, music libraries or library. And go find, or go to Extreme Music. I mean, there's one right there. Go listen to the music and A/B compare. Whatever you do hip hop music, you do rock music, you do orchestral, you do trailer, whatever you do. Extreme probably has anything you guys do. Compare your music to theirs. Is your music on par? Is it, if you sent your music to them, would they go like, damn, this is undeniable. We have to get this in our catalog. Do you honestly feel that they would say that? If the answer is no, you got some work to do, and that's okay. It's not the end of the world. It's better for you to have that realization now and go to school and go get better and do your homework before you start pitching to the library. So I really couldn't agree with that more. It's a really great point. Yeah, and Jason, anybody, if you guys have questions about pro feedback, or if you have anything, any of my services, just email me. I'll be happy to answer any of your questions. If you want to ask me privately about your situation or something like that, Jesse, Jesse, at syncmymusic.com. Be happy to ask you. I'd rather you guys get all your questions answered before you sign up. So if you're a little bit on the fence about it or you think it's interesting, just let me know. I review it once a month. Ryan's asking about that. So once a month I jump on there, but also once a month you get one of the pro reviews, and they review tracks in about a week. And so between their review and my review, you're getting 2 reviews potentially every single month. So they can be the same track. You can have us both review the same one. You can have different tracks. It's up to you. It doesn't really matter. But we obviously ask that you submit music that was specifically written for sync. I don't want your artist music. I've had some people send me music that they have that they wrote for their artist career, and I'm like, no, not gonna work for sync. And I don't. You want me to give you notes on your artist music? I don't feel like I'm really qualified or I have any business telling you how to write your own artist music. Artist music is artist music. It's supposed to be you, your soul, for the world to judge, not for me. Like, I'm here to help you with sync music. So just make sure if you're gonna pitch music to us and or have us review your music, that it's probably something that was written specifically for sync. And if it's previously made artist music and you're gonna have me review it, I'm gonna give you spoiler alert. I'm gonna tell you it's not ready. Sorry. 99% of the time, I usually say, sorry, don't do that. It's not gonna work out. So. All right. CJ, I found a great producer who's $550 per song and produce a song for me that a music licensor wants, but my mentor with 2,000 sync placements noticed all these little sound mistakes, symbols, etc. All the music listener could hear was how good the guitar, vocals, and lyrics were, but all my mentor could hear was the mistakes that would hold it back. I'm a bit more concerned with you paying $550 per song if that produced a song for you. You can't produce songs yourself? Is this something that you're not able to do? You're not able to go learn how to use the DAW, how to produce your own music? I don't know how you're going to have a career when you're pumping out, you're forking out $550 a song. So yeah, and obviously, your general point is taken where, like, if a client likes something, even if you think it sucks or somebody else thinks it sucks, who cares? The client's the one who has the money. They're the ones that'll say yes or no to you. So yeah, it's like at the end of the day, if they were cool with it, then that's great. But I don't know. I mean, forking out money for every track, I don't know about that one. That's not one that I would recommend. I don't know if this is going to be your most profitable path. If you have to kind of pay to play that way, right? How about trailers? Is it not worth the time investment and competition? Depends, JMO. If you're the best, if you're amazing, if you're undeniable with your music, it's definitely, I think it's worth your time. It's worth the competition. It's worth jumping in. We just had Troy McCubbin of Alloy Tracks, who has basically music in every single trailer like out there in the last couple of years. I mean, his team have knocked out so many amazing movies. And, from Oppenheimer to Jurassic World to Super Mario Brothers to the Batman, I mean, you name it, like everything. He's still finding new amazing composers and trailer makers to bring on board. So it's competitive, it's hard, it's rough. You got a lot of competition. You're going to pitch to a lot of stuff and get passed over for it. That's just part of the deal. If you can find a way to take all those quote unquote rejections, those custom opportunities that didn't land, and then package them up and give a company, sort of an album of great trailer music to maybe find some other home for them. Maybe it's not a bad idea, but if you're dabbling with trailer music, or you think if your trailer music is okay, I wouldn't do it, and I'll tell you that in some pro feedback to say like, you're at like I say this a lot. I'll say you're like at a 6 out of 10. You got to get to a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10. Like, there's something here, but you have a little bit of work to do before your music is really on par with what's going on out there. So if you're up for that challenge, go for it. But if you were just thinking like trailer music would be fun, it's going to be a grind. It's going to kick your butt, and you better be amazing at it. It's become very, very competitive. So is it worth it? Not for everybody. So, it kind of depends on what you're bringing to the table here. And Jason, what's the best way to find libraries to submit to? It doesn't seem like I'm finding much Google searching. Same companies keep popping up. Other than finding your own, doing your own research, we have 2 resources that can help you. One is I have a production music library directory. So that has over, I think, 250 companies. But it has all different types. So it has royalty free, it has TV film, it has the big ones, it has the small ones. It's just sort of like everybody that I can find that I think can help you earn some income in this business is there. Sync Edge is, I think, the more premium service where it is only the boutique TV film company. So it's not the major ones, because you can always find Universal, APM, BMG. Like those are, you can always find those. Those are very, very hard to get accepted by directly. But the small boutique TV film ones that you probably won't be able to find so easily with a Google search, that's what we get you with Sync Edge. And right now we have about 60 companies that you can review. We categorize them by the genre that I feel is the best suited for them based on their clients, based on what they pitch, based on what their placements show, that kind of a thing. So that's why I produced and created these services, is to help you guys find the right matches for your companies and to pitch the ones that you feel are the best fit for you as soon as possible, and not waste time and not have to go digging through pages and pages of Google, and also not knowing what should you be looking for, what signs of legitimacy. I sort of kind of do that work for you with Sync Edge, because I'm only going to recommend the ones that I feel have recent placements, recent releases, and show legitimate placements, and have been in industry and in business long enough to show that they actually have a strong, solid reputation in this business. So that's what you guys can get with those two, the library directory and Sync Edge. So. Can using splice loops and samples cause issues? Absolutely. If you're using melodic loops or vocal loops that have melodies and lyrics in them, forget it. Don't even do it. Don't even do it. Even if you're legally cleared to do it, you can get in some big trouble in terms of other people saying, hey, you ripped off my track. It's happened. I've had videos on this channel talking about that happening. You can get your tracks ripped out of a production music library. Your production music library could get sued by a label or by an artist. Don't do it. Use one-shots, use single sounds. If you're going to at all use something that is a full melody, guitar, horns, strings, synths, vocals, anything like that, you better mangle the hell out of that thing. Change the pitch, chop it up, add effects to it. It better be unrecognizable from the original if you're going to do anything like that. And that's a big if. I honestly don't think you should. I think you should resist that as much as possible. Percussion loops, sound effects, transitional effects, I don't think those things are going to land you in those kind of issues. It's more of the recognizable lead melodic elements, including chord progressions, that kind of thing. Anything that's really adding to the core, the soul of your track, the melodic movement of your track, or a lead, that kind of a thing, definitely can get you in trouble. Don't do it. Just word to the wise there. CJ, I just don't have the talent to get it to the broadcast quality. Okay. That might be true. That might not be true. I don't know your music. I don't know your situation. But that's also a story you're telling yourself right now, CJ. You've told yourself something that says, I don't have the talent to do it. Maybe, maybe not. I would definitely say try before you for sure just throw in the towel. So I don't know how well or how long or how hard you've actually tried at doing it. But definitely give it a shot first before you start forking out money to... I mean, if you're loaded, CJ, okay, don't worry about this, right? I just know that most people following the channel are not going to have an extra $550 every time they want to make a sync track. It's just not going to happen. You guys should know, in my career, I think I've produced somewhere around like 1,000 cues. Okay, you do the math, whatever that is. It's a lot. So I wouldn't be able to at all survive and profit in this industry had I been forking out $550 every time I performed and cranked out a cue. There's definitely different approaches where it's quantity versus quality, but take it for what it is. You decide how you want to do it. So Brian's asking, what do you think about music publishers that go heavily into sync, like making music for recording artists, but we're willing for sync placements? What's different with production companies? I'm not sure. I'm a little bit confused on the question. That go heavily into sync, like making music for recording artists, but really willing for sync placements. Yeah, I'm not really sure what you're asking there, Brian. Maybe give me a little more details on that. That one's kind of going over my head. Sorry. Hey, what's up, Tanner? Good to see you. You've been following for 10 years. Is this your first time commenting, man? Well, you should have spoken up earlier, but glad to see you. Glad you joined us. Right on, Tanner by the Sea. So, you're saying you got a song, you want to get it placed in a movie. Cool. But here's what I would say first off. You've got a goal for what you want to do with your music. A goal is like basically putting a single fishing hook into the ocean. So you've got some music and you're like, hey, it'd be cool if I get this in a movie. if that's how you approach this industry, what you're going to do is you're going to put out a single fishing hook, meaning you're going to only look for companies that maybe have film placements. You're going to only try to find companies that have big film placements, companies and titles that you feel you would be excited to be a part of, right? So you're going to be narrowing your vision for what you feel your music is going to be licensable and useful for. So this is not to be critical of you, but I'm going to help you right now. I think exponentially increase your odds of success. Okay, so that's the fishing pole approach. That's the goal approach. I don't encourage that. I don't think that's the wise approach for this business. I'll tell you why. You don't know what your music is going to be great at. You might think it'd be great in a movie. What if it's great in sports? What if it's great in reality? What if it's great for dramas? What if it's great for documentaries? What if it's great for news? I don't know what you produce. I don't know what you're going to do. But you don't know actually who's going to want or need your music in this industry. I can tell you that when I got started, I wanted my music to be in like The Simpsons and The Office and the shows that I liked. That was definitely my first goal. I was like, I'd feel like I'd made it if my music gets placed in these shows that I'm a fan of, right? Never happened for those shows. But had I been only focused on a little tiny goal of where I wanted my music to get, I wouldn't have eventually found that actually where my music was most valuable was in sports and reality TV. Maybe not the most glamorous areas, definitely not reality TV. Sports maybe more so. But guess what? Sports is one of the healthiest places to get royalties, I've been noticing. Reality TV, take it or leave it. Sometimes it can be great, sometimes not so much. But sports is a beautiful, wonderful, very lucrative place to be. And had I not been just open to just throwing my music into a company and going like, what do you guys think my music can do? And being open to somebody saying, hey, I think our sports clients are going to really eat the stuff that you're producing. Had I not been just open to sort of casting a net of like, I don't know who's going to like this. What do you guys think? Not meaning I'm casting a net like I'm going to make a bunch of different genres. No, that's not what I mean. I'm focusing on my single genre. I'm going to focus on the thing that I'm great at, but I'm going to be open to the fact that my single genre that I'm great at might serve multiple and different clients and new kinds of clients that I never ever would have foreseen. So I would strongly recommend you come into this industry with the casting a net approach of going, I don't know, maybe it'll be a movie, maybe it'll be sports, maybe it'll be reality, maybe video games, maybe infomercials. I have no idea, but I'm open to all of it, and I'm here to serve. I want to make sure that my music is useful and relevant for these clients that potentially could pay me and use my music. So just wanted to give a little bit of that pep talk as you get into this business and get more serious about it, because I've seen a lot of people go wrong where they just want a trailer placement. I just want my music to be in some major Hollywood movie, and then I'll know that I made it. You're stacking up the odds against yourself pretty high there, because that's a very competitive field. And what if your music would have done great with video game trailers? And video game trailers can pay pretty decently, and there's probably a lot more of them in the world than there are major motion picture trailers. Just there's way more video games and way more indie developers that could use music for their trailers, right? But if you had been a little closed-minded and not been open to working with publishers that have exposure to the video game industry, you wouldn't have had any of that opportunity at your doorstep. So the net versus the fishing pole. It's a very, really important concept I want to share with you. So what's up, Modern Man? You've been in Sync Academy for 4 years. Find it great, and I'm not in a rush. Learning the craft of writing music, it takes time, and I'm doing orchestral music. Awesome. Glad to hear that you're going at your own pace. Really good to hear that. Where are we at here? I think I need to get caught up. Hey, Laura, good to see you. Regarding Wix, this is from Modern Man. Do you have different opinions? Business Site, Business Core, and Light. What would you recommend? These days, I know I used to have a tutorial on how you guys could create your own Wix site. That was a few years ago. These days, I'd say as of last June, when I had June 2023, when I had our Sync Up event, and I heard directly from multiple library CEOs. Again, the privileged insight and direct access to a lot of these library CEOs that I get helps me prepare you guys better. Is almost every single one of them was saying, just send me Disco, man, or send me Realcrafter, or send me Dropbox, or whatever. Disco probably was the top of the list for people saying, like, I know the website, I know how to access the platform, and all that kind of stuff. So I honestly am not recommending Wix anymore. I think that was probably the right play when I was recommending it. But these days, I'm finding that Disco is becoming kind of the hub of sync licensing for music supervisors and for libraries in many ways. So either that or Realcrafter. Realcrafter, you can obviously have your own kind of pitching site, and you can kind of monitor the stats a little bit more with their premium ones. But that's what I recommend. If you want to do Wix, go for it. If you have a great looking, easy, accessible website where the music is right there, it's not going to get in your way. It's not going to be a bad thing. It can help set a really good first example or first impression. But honestly, Disco can set you up too. KJ Bass, or Bass, sorry. Hey, Jesse, is it common for a sync library to request 20 tracks with variations to add to their catalog? Wonder if that's a lot. Meaning they're asking 20 full songs from you and then getting like alt mixes. That's great. I mean, if they have a need for it, I would jump all over that thing with both hands. Like if they're saying, hey, we need this for a client that we're working with and we need all the alt mixes and stems for them, do that as soon as possible, because this is kind of one of these hurry up and wait industries where it might seem urgent and it's rushed, and it's like the library's like, hey, can you get this to us ASAP? And you're like, well, dude, like what's been going on? You haven't asked anything. Suddenly you need 20 tracks, all these alt variations. It happens to me a lot in my industry. And the reason why is because music is the last thing people are thinking about. It's the last thing added to a production, and they need it right away. And they don't care that you're stressed out that they're asking for it very quickly. If you don't get it to them in a very timely manner, you might not get the placement, or they'll just find something else. They'll go up somewhere else. So it is one of these things where speed is important. It's actually a topic of a video I'm putting out next week on my channel, which is why you need to kind of get comfortable with getting fast. Speed is one of these things that really will make a difference for your career in this business, for better or for worse, whatever you think about producing fast and delivering quickly. Speed has been something that's really helped me out in my career, which I'll talk about in that video. All right, Brian's clarifying. I mean like indie publishers that make music for big recording artists and big names, but are focused on sync placements, so landing a song on ads. Is there any different approach than a production company would usually mentioning? I mean, are you talking about, I don't know. If you name me a company, are you talking about like sync agents, Brian? So like a sync agent that's basically more about representing artist music to sync? Because I don't know which indie publishers are trying to make music for recording artists, but are focused on sync placements. Like that's kind of like contradicting itself. Are you going for big artists with your thing, or are you going for sync placements? Like big artists sometimes get sync placements, but usually if there's a company that's like, like a traditional publisher, usually is going to try to get songs placed with artists, right? So they're going to represent songwriters and producers or whatever, and they're trying to help them make some high quality hit songs and then pitch those songs to recording artists to get them to record it. So I'm still, it's not really helping me out there. If there's a particular company or a particular set of details that can help you out there or help me out, I would be able to get you some better answer there. So, right. Awesome, Tanner. So you're getting ready to go. So cool. Right on, man. JMO, what if the libraries demand the highest quality instruments, but you can't afford the plugins? Well, you're kind of asking how do you make more money appear in your bank account? That's a big question, JMO. Don't know if I'm the guy to ask for that. Can you save at all? Right? These are like the common things I would go for. Like, if you have a day job, do you eat your lunch? Do you go purchase your lunch every single day? Do you spend 10 to 20 bucks every day buying a lunch? You could save money by bringing your own lunch. Do you go get a coffee every single day for $3, $5? You could probably save on not doing that. Make your coffee from home. It's kind of a slow burn where you're not obviously going to be, having thousands of dollars overnight, but maybe there's some things that you're spending on that are non-essential. You think they're essential, but they're really not. You could change your lifestyle, your habit. One of the things that I did 2 years ago was I was going to 24-hour fitness, which is, kind of close to my house. And I think they were charging me $45 a month or $50 a month or something like that. And it was the only gym close by. And I was like, I'm happy to pay. I had a pool. I had like yoga classes. I had all this extra stuff, whatever. I never used almost any of it. I think I went to like one yoga class in the multiple years I did that. And then Planet Fitness opens up right across the street. And, it's much smaller. It doesn't have a pool. Doesn't have any classes. If you guys know Planet Fitness, it's pretty much more stripped down, basic. Doesn't have everything like a 24-hour fitness, but it's $10 a month. And I was like, yeah, I'm ready for that. And so I just jumped right over that. And it still feels good that I'm saving whatever it is, $35 every single month going to it. And I get a great workout in, same value that I had before. I have to be a little bit more mindful because it's a smaller one, so I can't go any time of the day. But they have this little app that shows you like when it's really busy, so you just don't go then. So, little things can add up eventually, but I would say don't worry about having to go spend, $5,000 to reinvent your entire, thing. What's the most prominent instrument in your music? Is it the horns? Is it the strings? Is it the drums? And really focus and start there to just really sort of kind of carve it away one at a time and really get the first thing that's most noticeable, the thing that really drives your music the most. Like if you're doing rock music, probably guitar is probably going to be your best one. I think Odin and Guitar Rig are probably the best combinations of sounds you can get these days. Drums are really, really important. I do Steven Slate for my drums. But none of the stuff, most of the stuff, it's subscription now. It's like $10 a month, $20 a month, $30 a month. You don't need to fork out thousands of dollars to really up your game these days. It's really more about like, you kind of can selectively update one thing at a time. I know some people, don't like the monthly subscription for the plugins or the sounds, but it does make a lot of it more and more instantly accessible to a lot of us, that you can just, go create a couple of subscriptions and get access to great sounds and plugins very quickly. Modern Man, teacher at Berkeley, heard one of his tracks, a very emotional film music on a fishing ad while at a gas station. Yeah, you never know where your music's going to get placed. It can go anywhere. So, Jason wants me to talk about mixing and mastering. Is Ozone a great option? If you like it, I use Ozone for just stereo spreading. That's pretty much all I use Ozone for. Love to hear some of your music. Is there a place where I can hear some of it? Yeah, if you go on my channel, Jason, you just go to my main YouTube channel page and scroll down. You'll see a whole playlist called Jesse's Music. So I've played and shared quite a bit of my music over the years. You can listen to it there. Yeah, I don't know. Mixing and mastering, I'll just be honest, I don't feel like getting into all that kind of stuff right now. We've got a lot of tutorials in Sync Academy. The best way to get better at it is to just keep doing it, and honestly compare your music to great high quality production music. Go to Extreme Music's website. That's one of the things that I did all the time early in my career. Bounced my music to the best of my ability, listened to some Extreme Music, went, wow, their music is doing something different than mine. What is theirs doing? Wow, that low end has just got this nice warm impact that my low end doesn't have. Where can I get that low end out of mine? Is it my bass? Is it my kick? What have I cut too much out of? Or, man, their music is way louder than mine. How come my music isn't hitting as hard and as loud as theirs are? What can I do to increase my volume? No tutorial is going to get you there, guys. Spoiler alert. Sorry, nothing in Sync Academy. Just watching a tutorial will not do this for you. It doesn't matter who's teaching you. You cannot watch a tutorial and then get better at it. You got to go do it. You got to actually go click on things. You got to go play with things. You got to go try things out. You probably could use just Ozone and create a great sounding master, right there, just using one plugin. I think that's certainly possible if you know how to use it, if you've practiced with it, if you know how each one of the components work, and you've A/B compared and tested in a lot of things. You can watch tutorials to get started, but really at the end of the day, you got to kind of fend for yourself, figure out yourself, and decide what you like, what sounds great, what's getting you the results that you want to get. And then you can obviously, once you figure that out, the beautiful part about it is you don't have to reinvent the wheel every time you finish a track. You can get a standard process, a standard list of plugins, a sort of set of plugins. That's usually what I do. And you might adjust them according to what you're doing and what you're producing and creating, but it usually becomes kind of like a plug and play where it's like, I know I'm going to need my linear phase EQ. I know I'm going to need a little bit of compression, some stereo spreading, and some adaptive limiter. That's usually what my 4 plugins kind of look like. So you might have different ones though. Don't just follow those because I'm doing it. You decide how you want to adjust things. But I will say this. Mastering is not fixing your track. If you see mastering as like, well, it doesn't sound great, but I haven't mastered it yet, so that's why it doesn't sound amazing. You're not thinking about mastering the correct way. Mastering doesn't fix your music. Mastering is securing your music, basically. That's how I see it. It's basically putting it in a package that is a little bit more evened out, a little bit more maybe louder. Maybe some of the rough edges are smoothed out a bit with compression and that kind of thing. But if your rough mix doesn't sound great, mastering is not going to do anything for you. You do need to make sure that your rough mix before you hit that mastering phase is sounding really, really good as is. Mastering is basically just a little bit of sprinkles on top. That's it. It's not doing heavy lifting. It's not fixing things. It's not doing anything magical. It's basically just kind of like wrapping up a little bit of the intense dynamic changes within your track, maybe helping a little bit with the EQ of the track, just kind of shaping it a little bit, nothing massive, and maybe bumping up the overall volume just a tad bit. But other than that, it shouldn't be doing too much heavy lifting in your process. So it should be a fairly quick and easy process, and your rough should already be sounding really, really good. Yeah, disco, D-I-S-C-O, Modern Man, disco, like disco dancing, but disco, whatever, disco. I don't know if they have a full title, but yeah, if you type disco, music hosting, I think that's probably what you'd find. But I think, is it just disco.com? Maybe somebody can tell me. I don't know if that's just their URL or not. Right on. So yeah, cool. Tanner, you ready to go? If you haven't done my free course, Tanner, that would be the first place to go. But if you're ready for like jumping into the platforms and stuff, you can email me and I can help you, find how to get started with that. But syncmymusic.com is basically the place to find everything that I do, whether it's the free course or it's the premium courses, whatever you want to do. It's all right there for you. So I'm glad to have you join us, man. That'd be really cool. Okay, Brian saying Runner Music by Ryan Tedder. I've heard while their writers are making music to pitch for recording artists, the company wants to make sure the songs would be used for a sync placement. Okay, so it's really a sync-driven approach. So I've heard it's also because it's very easy to recoup the songwriter given this high fee. Okay, and what was your question about it? Is it different than a production company? I mean, I guess the difference there is, and thanks for letting me know. I'm going to check that out. I'm a fan of Ryan Tedder, and maybe there's some way I can, man, if I can get him on my channel, I'd feel like I'm big. That'd be a big win. Let's see if I can find out more about that. Yeah, obviously it sounds like what they're trying to do is say, hey, we want to make music that could be a hit song for artists, and could actually chart and go viral, obviously on social media. But at the same time, we want to basically probably craft the lyrics and the stories in a way that they wouldn't be so pigeonholed that they would only be used for one particular thing. In sync, we want them to be more universally versatile. So I think it's an interesting approach. I'm curious to see how they're doing, and I don't know if they've actually secured some placements with the artists they've pitched to, if they've gotten syncs or not. So it'd be a little bit different that production companies, production music libraries, the ones that I work with, the ones I'm encouraging you guys to join. If they get a hit song, it's kind of an accident. The Extreme Music CEO just gave us that example where they had some song in like a like a Polish documentary or something like that. Just somehow went viral and it's got millions of views and it's doing great on Spotify and TikTok and that kind of thing. But that wasn't something they were trying to do. It just sort of got a placement that was notable and the world ate it up. But it's not what they're going for. They're not going for a hit song. They're basically going for production music. And then if there's a hit song that comes out of it, hey, so be it. We'll ride that wave too. So I think it's just about where they're initially focusing. So it sounds like Ryan is maybe more focused on a hit song and then going, but we want to make sure that there's a higher than likely chance that this could also be pitched for some sync opportunities. So start a library. No thanks, JMO. I've had that thrown at me a lot of times. Great suggestion. I appreciate it. Not into it. And if you guys came to Sync Up this last year in June, and you saw Trevor's presentation on what it takes to start a library, you already know why. Probably I wouldn't want to do that. So, but yeah, I mean, I could have, but it's just not for me. I like focusing on music and focusing on the coaching stuff that I do with you guys. What's up? What's your stance on custom tracks for advertisements with briefs versus library tracks? My work has all been through that and nothing landed with libraries yet. Yeah, I mean, with advertisements, a lot of it does do custom. A lot of times they are asking, especially if you're a library writer and you're in the inner circle where they're going to be sending out those opportunities. A lot of times the custom briefs do come out for those ads. That's usually what I've seen. I have had a couple. I had one Jack in the Box national campaign. It was for their monster tacos. I did get one of my kind of crappy, ridiculous rock tracks get placed in that, but that wasn't custom. They were just looking for something to just throw in there real quickly. So it kind of depends on what the opportunity is, what they're doing. But both, obviously, you can do both. In my career, most of those custom opportunities for ads and promos, that kind of a thing, came through custom briefs with production music libraries. I think that's maybe what you're asking. So, hey, what's up, Zell? Good to see you, man. Is the AI worry over? I don't know if it's over, but it's kind of like we're still waiting and seeing right now, JMO. I don't know. I obviously put out those videos. We're kind of seeing what's happening with the lawsuits. I've been sort of, just keeping up with that. Nothing meaningful. I guess the one big breakthrough, what was it like? It was a week ago. Some big lawsuit by a visual artist, not music artist, but visual artists who had sued. I don't even know who the companies were, but some AI companies who had supposedly scraped their paintings and trained off of them. I guess the lawsuit was granted to move forward and it wasn't dismissed. So there was this kind of idea of like, oh, well, the courts are going to just dismiss it because there's no standing for them to say they have any rights. But the fact that I guess that the court said, no, we're not dismissing it and we can proceed with this case. The artists celebrated that as a massive win. They said, absolutely, this means that we have a legitimate case, that we have a chance to fight for our rights and to make sure that people need to get consent if they're going to train off of our artist music. So that's on the artist side seems like a win, but nothing's been decided yet, right? And especially with these the AI, the Suno and Udio lawsuits. I know that they responded. They sort of admitted to essentially training on a lot of music without getting permission, but they had their kind of pushbacks on all that kind of stuff. So I think we're still kind of in the early days of figuring out what that's going to be. So I wouldn't say that the worry is over, but it's kind of like, what do I, there's nothing to update you guys on. Like I've made the case on why it should be concerning. I've let you guys know why nobody knows how this is going to play out. And I don't care who you are, how optimistic or pessimistic you are. Nobody knows really what's going to happen in the future. If this is going to be a game changer, if it's not going to affect us at all, if it's going to eat out maybe parts of our industry. I don't think anybody has enough information to know exactly where this is going to go. So just keeping your eyes open, your ears open for the updates. I definitely, if anything massive happens, I will certainly make you guys aware of it. So it's not like I forgot about it or I'm not concerned about it, but there's just nothing really to say right now because nothing really has been happening. We're kind of waiting for these lawsuits to get some sort of resolution. And then we can go, okay, here's what the courts decided. This is probably what's going to happen as a result of this ruling. Now we can kind of make our moves that way, right? If you want to take the intro course, Tanner, if you haven't taken that, I would definitely take that first. It's 5 parts. You can do them all today if you got time, or you can do it one at a time. But you just go to syncmymusic.com and you'll see at the very top, there's this free sync starter course. You just put in your email and you get started with that. That would be a good one just because in that I give you sort of like a healthy overview of like how the industry is structured, what your role in it is, what you're going to be required to do, how long it might take for you to start seeing some decent, significant income if you're going to really go at this hard, what that income might look like, what those opportunities are going to look like, and then of course sort of the bigger mistakes I see a lot of producers making in this industry that usually causes them to get excited about it in the first couple months like you are right now, and then 6 months later it's like bye-bye. What happened to them? They usually all bail out and leave. It's because they're usually committing one of these 5 mistakes, but most of it has to do with like having the right mindset and expectation of like, if you think you're getting paid next month, and I'm not saying you're accepting this, but a lot of people do. They think like, oh, I've been trying to make music, make money with my music and nothing's working. Oh, sync. Oh, that's where all the money is. Okay, library, here's my 12 songs. And it's been like, 2 months, 3 months. They haven't done anything since then. And they're like, hey, how come I don't have any placements? Where are all my placements? Wrong mindset. It's just the wrong mindset. It's not going to work out. And so I don't think that's going to be, I just don't think that mindset works out for you guys. It's just not going to work out in the long run. So I would say having a healthy mindset, having a sort of, just like a down to earth realization that this is work, right? This is going to be a job. It's not a get rich quick thing. It's not, I'm about to blow up. It's not, oh my God, I'm going to get signed and somebody's going to do all the work for me and I'm going to be rich and famous. That's not what we're doing. That's not what this is about. This is like basically think of yourself as a craftsman, okay? Think of yourself as a plumber. Honestly, that's the best way you should think about yourself. I'm coming in here to do some dirty work, right? I'm coming in here to make some production music for some reality TV shows, for some sports, for some this and for some that. And I got to make sure that whatever I'm doing with my music is really serving and helping these people that have these budgets and have these opportunities. You keep yourself in that mindset and you're here to serve, you're going to be in a really, really good position. You're going to be speeding past everybody else who's seems like they're going fast, but really they're just kind of chasing their tail and spinning in circles. So anyways, hopefully that helps. Hans, hey, I left a bad comment on one of your videos. I don't know which one it was, Hans. But on second thoughts, you're right. Plus, it's so much more gratifying to make your own music. I don't know which one it was, Hans, but all good. Don't know what the bad comment was, but sounds like maybe something changed. So that's interesting. David, 3 years in the sync and yet to have a placement. All right. Are you working with production music libraries? How many? How many tracks do you have out there? Are you communicating with the libraries? Are you making sure that the music that you're sending to them is not just something that you're into, but it's actually useful for their clients? And how would you know that? By those conversations. So if you want to give me more information, David, I can try to help out a bit. Again, I only have little pieces, tiny little bits of data here, so I can't give you like a full, amazing 100%. I know exactly how to help you out, but the more I know, the better I can potentially help. So, you're welcome, Jason. Thanks for hanging out, man. Would I ever create a book? Love your videos. It's funny, before I started anything I'm doing here with Sync My Music, that was what I was thinking I was going to do. I thought like, oh, if I want to go teach people how to, again, I just didn't have the awareness of like, yeah, just put on a camera and just start talking to people. I thought if I'm going to become a quote unquote expert on showing people how to do this, I have to have a book. And so I literally was going to coffee shops and writing, you know, thinking I had to write this massive book, taking a huge gamble to think like, all right, once this book is out, maybe people will take me seriously. And I had a mentor that said, no, 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 no. Don't write a book. You don't need to write a book. And it was hard. I mean, I do like to write, but I don't know. I struggle with it a lot. It's not something that comes really easy and natural to me. I had a mentor and she told me, you're just going to put together a course online and you're going to see how that course does. If people respond to it, if they get positive feedback, if they like it, then you keep going. And a course you can create in a day, basically. You can kind of like structure it. It took me a lot more than a day because you have to obviously have the website and all these kind of things, a membership area, all that good stuff, automating emails. It's a lot more. But I think it took me like, I don't know, 2 weeks, a month to kind of set up everything to sort of give a trial run at doing this kind of stuff, which is way shorter than writing a full book. So, yeah, I don't know. I thought about it. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. That's all I can tell you. I don't know if I really need to have, I don't know, any sort of, I don't know what I would be giving you guys via a book that I'm not giving you via videos. Like all the work and effort it would take for me to do that. Am I really going to be giving you more than what I'm giving you now? I'm just not seeing a massive gap there of like, yes, with a book, I could teach you all these amazing and show you these amazing things that I couldn't talk to you on camera. I'm not saying that. Maybe one of you guys can make a case for me and let me know. I'd be interested in that. So do a super video with Dave, Croft, Clint, Eric, and other sync YouTubers. Yeah, I had this idea, not so much about a video, but like a live event. The YouTubers talking to each other, like obviously there's some value there. I'm not saying there's no value there. But I think the in-person stuff is much more interesting to me, at least, because since I started doing some more in-person events, I think getting people in the same room, creating relationships and friendships and that kind of thing has been really, I mean, just for me, for sure, enriching. So I always thought it'd be kind of cool, like to have not necessarily just all like sync-related people, but like people in different areas of the music industry getting together for some massive mega event, right? Like top music attorney. I think she should definitely be there for the legal stuff. Some of us sync people can be there to talk about the sync licensing routes. We can have people that are dealing with getting, digital distribution or helping out with directly pitching to supervisors or whatever. I would think it'd be kind of a cool to almost have like a weekend or a week long, like a mini university for people that are, trying to learn how to survive and thrive in the current legal music landscape. And in one event, being able to get access to all this information in one place. I don't necessarily know if that exists. If you guys know of something like that, that's not specifically sync focused, it's not, how to get a viral hit focused, it's not a legal conference or something like that, but it's kind of like a sort of, imagine you're a 21-year-old walking into this thing and it's like, all right, I've got talent, what do I do with it? And it's like there's all these kind of open, think about it as a like a farmer's market of all these people that can help you. Here's how you can monetize your music with sync. Here's how you work with publishers. Here's how you navigate legal contracts, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I think that would be kind of really interesting and fascinating. A big, just from pulling off my own in-person event. Oh my God, is it a lot of work though? I don't know if I got it in me to help organize anything like that. I'll be honest. Like that's just, if somebody else is organizing it and they're like, Jesse, we want to invite you to be a part of it. All right, that sounds a little bit more doable for me. But yeah, it's just a lot of work, guys. I mean, putting these things on, they just don't happen. A lot of heavy lifting has to be done. So. Hans, I was so excited about Udio and Suno for the first week, yet I'm back to my lead guitar in Fruity Loop Studio. It gets really stale after generating songs which I have no control over apart from the tags. Oh, okay. So you're using. Okay. Don't remove your comment. You don't have to remove it, but like I don't know what you said about it, but some people are enjoying it, some people are not. It's just kind of like you said. My feeling with AI generators was, and when I was playing with them a little bit, was like, on one side, amazed, shocked, impressed how quickly amazing it could pump out a finished piece of music, even using lyrics that I had supplied it. It was like, wow, like really, really shaking you to your core of like, man, it took me like a week to come up with my song, and this thing came up with it in 30 seconds, right? But My song that took me a week gave me a feeling after I finished it. It was like I did that. Like I put in the work. It's I struggled. There was a big puzzle piece in front of me that wasn't clear how it was going to come together, and I just kind of kept at it and eventually put that puzzle together. And it totally just it felt like a fulfilling reward at the end of it. And yeah, AI generations just don't do that for me. You know, maybe not for everybody. Maybe some people do feel that. I didn't feel that sense of pride, of accomplishment, of man, that was worth the struggle, and I'm glad I struggled. Right, I'm really glad I went through that pain because man, this having something that I can click play and show to my friends and family and go like, look at this cool thing I made. That's it. I mean, that's real. Is there anything better, guys? Like literally having some music that you are stoked about that you created. Is there a better feeling on planet Earth? I don't think so. I really think that is the best for us music creators. That's the top. So when AI music came in, you know, maybe that's a part of. I'm kind of now just live with you, realizing that might have been one of the threats that I felt was like, this thing is going to try to take that away from me. Of like the best feeling I had in life is like going to be outsourced to this computer now, and it's like, you know, not that it would take me making music, that's for me to decide, but I think that's maybe part of the threat that I felt, and maybe some of you guys felt, which is like, this is definitely what we love and this is the best feeling we got, and now a computer is just going to start doing this. You know, a lot of identity questions. It kind of mixed us up a little bit there for a minute. It still is, so it's still tricky, but to each their own. I think there's going to be some tools that some of us use and it's like, oh no, I love it. Chord generators, this or that, great, no problem with it. It helps me get through my track. I still feel like I own that music and I feel that sense of accomplishment. I'm going to keep using it. For other of us, it's like, I don't want you to give me a chord progression. Like if I really want to love and fall in love with this, I need to feel like I'm included in the creative process with this. I don't want a computer to generate something for me and then I kind of build on top of that. But not for everybody. To each their own. And my thing with AI music has always been from the beginning, even though it might seem or feel like I'm some anti-AI guy. I'm not. I've always been, whatever we do with AI, just make it consensual. Training, using it, library saying yes or no to it. As long as it's consensual, I don't care. Do what you want to do, use it, don't use it, doesn't matter. But for the data training, I felt like a lot of that was obviously non-consensual. And so that is a big issue for me. So some people are going to be cool with taking some money for somebody training off their music. Some of them won't even care about taking money, not feel like they're entitled to any, you know, compensation or consent for their training. Great. That's consensual that you're saying, I give you consent to do it. But for those of us that don't feel that that should just be, you know, the Wild West, anybody can come train off of our music, I hope that we get respected as well. That's what these court cases are going to help and give us some insights on. So, do they teach sync in college like Full Sail? I don't know. I didn't go to Full Sail, so I don't know what they teach over there. I know that I went to, you know, just a state college here in California, and I majored in recording arts and music industry, literally music industry and recording arts, as close as you can get to sync licensing in a college. And not only did I not get taught sync licensing at all, the phrase sync licensing, synchronization licensing, I don't think ever came up. It might have come up once, maybe like in a copyright course that I took. Maybe I might have a vague memory of that. But the idea of a production music library wasn't a thing. I had no clue. So I'm going through college just blind to the fact that there's this whole industry sitting there waiting for me. So I thought, you know, you got to go work at a studio. You got to either get signed by a label. You got to go get signed by a publisher. You got to work at a studio. Those were the kind of the only main things that you could probably thrive in. So I had no exposure to that. I would imagine Full Sail has something that gives you insights into sync licensing. And I hope to God it's taught by somebody who's actually worked in the business. Because the one problem with a lot of college and our, you know, traditional educational systems is teachers sometimes don't have the experience, or they had experience so long ago that it's kind of like useless at this point. You know, we had some producer or teachers and professors, you know, great people, but they were teaching us how to record on previous technologies when Pro Tools was becoming the industry standard. So this is what my life in college looked like. During the day, going to college and going and recording in the studio that we had, we're recording with, you know, basically dinosaur technology, like ancient technology. And at night, I would go and record via Pro Tools and a computer with my band. Like I had a singer that had his own home studio, really nice home studio. And so I'm basically learning both systems at once. One of them is on its way out. The one the school was teaching me was basically the technology that had a couple of years, and maybe not even that. I think it was pretty much gone. And at night, just privately hanging out with my friends and recording my own band music, I'm learning the current tools for actually how studios were working. So this can be the issue with a lot of education, is that it can be way behind the times, especially as technology moves extremely quickly. And if the professors haven't actually lived the experience, then you're getting the theoretical version of the industry. And that's what I got for a lot of my college career. Again, sorry to throw shade at a lot of the professors. I liked a lot of them, but I got the, you know how it is. You get the textbook version of snowboarding, and then you go snowboarding and you realized, oh, the textbook, yeah, described it, but it wasn't at all like really what it's like. You got to go do the thing, and then you realize, I mean, I'm just much more of a doer in terms of how I learn. I experience things, I do things, and then I learn them. So I hope they have some exposure, some helpful, realistic exposure for people who've actually worked in the industry, but I'm not up to date on that. So, all right, well, I'll be popping off here. Thank you so much, guys, for hanging out and for listening to me rant. If any of this is helpful and useful, please do leave a like. I would appreciate that. You can leave a comment below. That would be helpful as well. And share my videos with anybody that you feel would be benefited by this stream. I have one more question here that came in at the very last minute. I would feel bad to leave you out. Hectic asks, do you see more syncs come from being in a publisher or a bigger publisher or the specific sub-library? If you are an XYZ library and APM, how many come in from someone for like APMs? You know, that's a hard question to answer, Hectic, because I've had my music in larger publishers, including Megatrax, 5 Alarm, but those were more. I was in those publishers early in my career, and this is like 2009, 2010, 11, 12, a different era. You know, probably not as many people in the industry, and I did really well. I got a lot of placements there. These days, you can. I'm not saying you can't, but there's a lot more music. There's a lot more people getting into those. And I find, I mean, my point of view on this is that if you can get with a high quality boutique TV film library, not necessarily even a sub-publisher of one of the big companies, sometimes you can find yourself in amazing positions that even the larger companies couldn't get you in. I have found those directly myself. So I've had some opportunities where it's a guy that I've known for like 5-6 years. He starts his own little tiny production company that doesn't even have a website, but he branches off because he's got this one relationship or 2 relationships with somebody that's constantly getting him reality TV show placements. And he's just like, dude, this week we're doing this, next week we're doing that. You'd never find a Google search, you never see this online, it's never anywhere. But because you are working with people on a very intimate basis, relationships and opportunities are much more prominent, or they can be. I don't say they are, but they can be much more. So my career has been based on working with small mom and pop, usually 1 or 2 people kind of running the business, maybe 5 at the most. But they have really strong relationships, and you can kind of become an inner circle member and create a direct relationship as soon as possible. I'm not saying you can't do that with a larger company like, you know, APM or Universal or something like that. Less chances, I would say. Way more, you know, you're just kind of a smaller fish in a bigger pond, that kind of a thing. So that's why with Sync Edge, with our library recommendation service, we only give you guys the small boutique TV film companies that we feel can provide those potential avenues for you. If you want to go find APM, Universal, big companies, you can Google search them, try to find their submission portal and reach out to them. Like, you don't need anybody's help to do that. And I wish you guys all the best, and hopefully you guys, some of you do. I do have some people that have been accepted by them. But, you know, my thing is just kind of putting the odds of success in your favor and going to where maybe more the percentage of creating better, meaningful, more direct relationships. I feel like that's kind of where that's where the more healthy approach is. So with that answer out of the way, I will now jump off here. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate your time today, and have a fantastic rest of your Tuesday. We'll be back tomorrow with a great interview I have with Hans York, one of our great pro feedback members. If you want to find out who are these people that are reviewing our music, well, Hans tomorrow, the gentleman that I'm going to be having on my channel, he's one that you can definitely get some reviews from. And what I love about Hans, and you'll find out very soon, is he keeps it real about how tough this business can be. This business has eaten him up and has really taken him for a ride, but he's sticking with it, and he's got some great results, and he's seeing more placements come in, and he's just got a great attitude and a great head on the shoulders. So you guys will learn more about him and his journey tomorrow. So fantastic. Thank you guys so much. We'll talk to you all real soon.